Drakelow Tunnels, once a bustling shadow factory, is now recognised as one of the most haunted locations in the UK. After spending 2 days interviewing people about their paranormal experiences, the team and I are ready to investigate the 4 most active areas of the location, each of us completely on our own. The paranormal activity ranges from shadow figures to disembodied voices to things moving on their own. The screams coming from the hospital to 1940s music echoing through the tunnel system. Feelings of unease and even full-bodied apparitions have been reported. These tunnels are not for the faint-hearted.
It was just the darkness and the quietness that caught my attention straight away.
And I heard a male voice, clear as day, right in my ear.
The cameras flew across the room.
The REM pod is now going completely and utterly crazy.
It makes no sense. Something pushed them cameras.
That's unheard of.
One of the group members thought they saw someone standing in the doorway.
Awful sounding voice that really grabbed the pit of your stomach.
I have goosebumps everywhere.
That's what keeps me coming back to the unknown.
It's a melting pot of activity, and we're here for a week. This is going to be fun. It took me 6 years to get the courage to come back to Drakelow Tunnels. I felt like I needed to face what happened and get over my fear of this place.
The very first time that I came to Drakelow Tunnels was for an investigation, which was also a public event. Me and my husband Alex arrived early, as we always do.
So we pulled up, no one else was here, the gates were locked, so we just sat in the car waiting for MJ to arrive.
We got to the gate, Alex and Corin were nice and early, and I got out the car to greet them, and I realised they didn't give me the code for the gate to get in. It's a 4-digit lock.
As both of them turned around and headed back towards the car, MJ stopped.
And I turned and I took 2 steps away from this gate, and I heard a male voice, clear as day, right in my ear, and it gave me the gate code.
And I was like, okay, we'll try it. And she tried it and it worked. I thought, we are in for a very good night already.
That's incredible. That never happens. That's unheard of.
My first impressions of Drakelow was that it was larger than I'd imagined, darker, cold, but also quite exciting.
When I first entered Drakelow Tunnels, I was so excited. And as a photographer, this was like a paradise for me.
During the walk around, we stopped off in one of the rooms in the tunnels, and one of the group members thought they saw someone standing in the doorway, and straight afterwards started feeling quite unwell.
Just after that guy's experience, another member of the public walked away with her friend, claiming that she didn't feel very well. She said that she had been affected or attacked by a guy with a flat peak cap and a blue boiler suit.
So as I was checking on this member of the group, 2 other members walked off from the main group because they had seen this figure. When these 2 members rejoined us, one of them was quite agitated and explained that they'd seen a tall man wearing a flat peak cap and a blue boiler suit.
We returned on another occasion, and it was myself, my husband Alex and MJ, and we were going to do some filming, just some B-roll around the location. And we sat down, we'd set up the tripods and the cameras in the corner, and we'd sat down to go through some ideas, some shots that we wanted to get. And then as we were doing that, the cameras flew across the room. It wasn't like one of the legs of the tripods was loose. It must have gone about 20 metres across the room. It makes no sense. Something pushed them cameras.
These were heavy-duty tripods. These shouldn't have moved at all. We weren't anywhere near them, but they were on the floor. One of our cameras had even gone about 20 metres from where we'd put them.
I think there are things here that are not human, that have manifested through tragic energy and may also be elemental.
It is known that the spirit that wanders this place tries to break groups up, tries to get people on their own.
It's a melting pot of activity, and we're here for a week. This is going to be fun.
I am so looking forward to the next week of investigating Drakelow tunnels. I think we are in for a treat, definitely.
While interviewing Alex and Corin, we received a phone call from the owner, Sid, informing us that one of the volunteers is willing to be interviewed on camera. These are his experiences.
Living locally to the tunnels, I've always had an interest what went on in there back in the days when it was operational. And when it closed down, always had wondered what went on. And when I found out they were looking for volunteers, I put my name down for it. When I first entered the tunnels, it was a bit of a shock. I was expecting the tunnels to be underground, but they're not. You're walking on the surface. It was just the darkness and the quietness that caught my attention straight away. I was down here one day working away, tunnel 3, and I seen somebody run past me. But when somebody runs past you, you normally get a breeze or anything. Nothing. And I turned around to see who it was, nobody there, just into the darkness. And I thought it was somebody mucking about. When I came back up to here, they all sat drinking tea. And not one of them people had this brown overall on. Found out later on that people working down there all wore brown uniforms. On a previous occasion, I was working around by the generator room. It wasn't running, so we had little work lights on our head. And I could hear these people walking towards me talking. Well, I was the only person in here, and I'd locked the door. So I went outside to see who it was, and there was nobody there. Now, the following day, I stopped in the local B&B, and the people in there had a ghost tour here on that evening. I was talking to them, and I said, "Anybody experienced anything?" And then one lady said, "I heard voices talking and people walking by the generator room, the same place where I've heard it." We had a load of bunk beds delivered to us, and the driver said, "Do you mind if I have a look inside?" I said, "Please, you're welcome to go in, there's no lights on, just go in the entrance and have a look round the corner." And he come out and he says, "Is that your daughter in there?" I said, "My what?" I said, "I haven't got a daughter." He says, "There's a little girl in there looking at me." So I went in to investigate. There was no little girl in there.
On a previous investigation of Drakelow, we had left a recorder running in the medical area. This is what we captured.
When I told him that there was nobody allowed in there, that was it. He was like white as a ghost. And there's another instance, ladies' toilets just here. The electrician was on a ladder, double extended, so he's probably 12, 14 foot up. And I was down about a few hundred yards down there, and I heard him shout. So I came back up, and he said, "Please tell me that you're mucking about." I said, "What are you on about?" He goes, "Somebody just tapped me on the shoulder and said hello." I said, "How can I come up behind you on a ladder without you knowing? Do that, get down." And he never come back again. After that, it just frightened him so much. You know, and he was an electrician by trade, and he just wouldn't come back. We asked him to come back, he said no, not after that. You know, so there's a lot of things happening here that I've experienced, and a lot of people have been down here, they've experienced it too. It's the unknown, isn't it? That's what keeps me coming back, it's the unknown, and the events that go on in here, it gives you that little bit of a buzz.
Corin and I had set up a video interview with Victoria Wells. Vicky had investigated Drakelow with us on a number of occasions, so we wanted to discuss the evidence captured during those investigations and hear her thoughts on the location.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks.
So you joined us on one of our public investigations with the SAGE team at Drakelow Tunnels, and you witnessed one of the EVPs that we captured at the D9 crossroad. I believe you were also recording at the time. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were there, we were doing the EVP session. There were a number of us there, and I remember us all thinking, let's all get our recorders out, let's all record this, because it was really important to see if we could capture something together on different devices. So we were doing the EVP session, and on review, if I remember, this really, really awful sounding voice that really grabbed the pit of your stomach said, Gary. I'm not even going to try and replicate how it sounded because it was just so, ugh.
Okay, we'll settle down, no shuffling. We're in Drakelow Tunnels, approximately 3 o'clock in the morning, some random crossroad, I have no idea where I am. Everybody know that. I have no idea where I am. Everybody know that.
So what we hear on Wayne's recorder is a male voice saying Gary, and it says it crystal clear and so loud, it sounds like it's speaking directly into the recorder.
You know, I've actually got goosebumps even on my cheeks just thinking about that EVP. What was really interesting about it was the fact that on the public event night, we had a gentleman by the name of Gary who was investigating with us. And he had been at that crossroad right before we decided to do that EVP session. And if I remember correctly, we played back 3 different recorders, and it was only on the one.
It was only on the one, yeah.
So it was like, it was operating at a different frequency, because I know each recorder has like a different sound frequency. And it kind of had an accent, didn't it? It had like a weird accent, like, Gary.
Do you know what? It didn't sound of this world. It sounded just giving me chills again thinking about it. I have to, each time I've been, I've had things happen, sound, audible things, physical things, and I think Drakelow has been the place where I have had the most development of my own psychic and spiritual, capabilities, and where I've recognised, actually, yes, I am feeling a presence. Yes, I am recognising that there is something close to me. How an energy can just appear and shift and change and really affect you.
It's amazing how something can take you over in Drakelow. I mean, I had an experience my very first time in Drakelow Tunnels where it felt exactly like that. It felt like somebody stepped in, and I'd never experienced anything like that. I actually have goosebumps thinking of it. I'd never experienced anything of the sort. I didn't know anything about trance mediumship. I didn't know, no one had warned me that there was a spirit in Drakelow Tunnels that knew how to do this, and that would often do it to anyone who is sensitive in any way. Freddie Cotton, who was the production assistant on the set, had taken 3 photographs in the exact same position of everybody stood by this table. And upon reviewing the photos, there is a figure in the background wearing a blue boiler suit and a flat peak cap. Now, nobody on set was wearing a flat peak cap. None of us.
It makes no sense, because I've looked at the lighting of those, and it doesn't make sense how that shadow was carved. It doesn't even look like a shadow, does it? It looks like a figure.
It's a figure, yeah.
One of those, it's definitely a figure. There's definitely no one near that space where that shape is. So So yeah, it's a good photo.
It just goes to show that you don't even need to be actively doing a paranormal investigation for things to happen. I mean, I was just taking photos of a production there, and I walked into somebody, like backed up into somebody, turned around to say sorry, and there was nobody there. So
one of the things that strikes me with that photograph is the fact that where the face is, you can see the skin tone, but you can't see any facial features whatsoever. You see the darkness of the flat peak cap, and you see the boiler suit, and it's out of proportion. It's even if it was a crew member walking in that space, they would have been the same height as us, because there was only about not even a 2-foot gap between the table and the wall. So even if they had to walk behind that table, they still would have been somewhat within the same scale as us in the photograph, whereas this figure is much smaller and looks far more distant. It's really bizarre. Well, thank you so much for having a chat with us. Really, really appreciate it.
Welcome.
And it's nice to hear from somebody else who actually witnessed what happened to the psychic medium, and who was there, who witnessed that EVP being recorded on 3 different recorders.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, have a great day, and we'll speak to you really, really soon, Vicky.
Look
Take
forward
care.
to it. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
It is time to start the second of the 4 main investigations of Drakelow that we're conducting this week. Tonight is our lone vigils. We've each chosen an area known as a paranormal hotspot, and the first to get set up is Carl.
Well, I'm sat here at the moment where I've had some of the most interesting experiences and kind of scary experiences of ever investigating Drakelow tunnels. You'll see over here, you'll see a bricked up hole. This is the area where, on an investigation, I jokingly put my leg through and just for a bit of a giggle, asked out, if there's anybody there, can you either pull me through or drag me? You're asking me how I'm feeling? Not that excited about this, but I've got to do it. I've got to face these fears. I've got to push myself, and I hope to God that I can make it through this lone vigil. I can't guarantee it, but I am going to try.
I'm excited, but I'm also really nervous after hearing some of the stories that have happened here, particularly in this location.
You got any ideas of experiments you want to try?
Yes, so I am going to take some instant photos. It's this way, isn't it? Yeah. So I'm going to take some instant photos on my instant camera. The reason I'm using that is so the images can't be manipulated.
As Alex takes Corin to the old canteen, I set up at the crossroads where there is a spirit of a gentleman who loves music. Could he be responsible for the 1940s music heard echoing through the tunnels? Alex then sets up in front of the hole where the airsoft player was dragged through by his ankle.
So if you'd like to communicate with me, do you want to come forward?
This is Carl Hutchinson. If there's anybody here, there's a device. Okay, I wasn't quite expecting that to start off that quick. If there's anybody here, there's a device down here where you can see a red light on it. Could you step close to it?
I've heard that there are a few people who either visit or reside in this area. Would you like to come and say hi? I heard a very faint noise in the distance. Would you like to come over and say hi? I've got my camera on me and I really want to take some photos. Have you had your photo taken before?
I decided to play some music in this area while we were doing EVP.
And during that, I played some of the song and I stopped the music that carried on the recording, and we captured a male voice saying, "I like that." And so every time I've come to Drakelow Tunnels, it's always been a thing for me to play some music for the man who enjoyed it.
It is so quiet.
And I can feel the hairs starting to stand up on the back of my neck. Thank you. Could you step close again, please? Step really close. I'm just going to get settled again.
I'm going to take 3 photos, so if you stand directly in front of me and smile. I am taking 3 photos to see if there are any differences between each one. These do take a few minutes to develop. But you're welcome to stick around. Is there anybody here with me right now?
Daddy is lonely, 'cause Mary's in India now. She said she called, but that was 3 weeks ago. She left all her things, well, her books and her letters from him. So hard to play in the dark, but as the sun rises on Mary, it sets on him.
I may not be able to physically hear you through my own ears, but this device in my hand is very likely to pick your voice up, so we can have a really good conversation.
I may not be able to physically hear you through my own ears, but this device in my hand is very likely to pick your voice up, so we can have a really good conversation. Are you the person that loves the company of women? If so, where have you touched these women?
There's something there, but I can't make it out. I would really love it if you could tell me your name. My name is Corinne. What's yours?
I'd really love it if you could tell me your name. My name is Corinne. What's yours?
When last did you listen to live music? Okay, I'm going to play this back. Hopefully I can hear your voice. Can't make it out.
Listen to live music.
Does that say today?
When last did you listen to live music?
Today? Oh, I've just got chills.
Okay, the REM pod is now going completely and utterly crazy. I've been asking for it to stand close. I'm not feeling the best at the moment. All down this one side of my face is freezing, the side the REM pod is on. And I'm not feeling best, but I'm going to push on and try this again. Okay, could you just step back from the REM pod a second? Thank you.
I thought I saw somebody walk down here. It was a really tall shadow. Do you know who that is? I'm going to play this back.
Earlier today, I was walking down the tunnel with a couple of my teammates, and I thought I saw somebody walk down here. It was a really tall shadow. Do you know who that is? When I asked you for song lyrics earlier, and it said...
I have goosebumps everywhere. Getting a little worried now after that.
When I asked you for song lyrics...
Oh, so it was a really tall shadow right behind you?
Do you know who that is? When I asked you for song lyrics earlier...
Right behind you. Okay, Alex really needs to get here soon. I'm so thoroughly creeped out right now. As Alex informs me that my lone vigil is over, I head back to the base camp to regroup with Carl, whilst Alex collects Corin.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. I think I got something.
Yeah?
Do you want to listen?
Yeah. Cool. What have you got?
Thank you for that. Unfortunately, I can't hear you very clearly on here, so if you could keep trying, that would be great. I would really love it if you could tell me your name. My name is Corin. What's yours?
So when you asked the name, it was very faint, but I thought it said Michael.
Okay.
You said as we walked around you were going to do some instant photos.
Yeah, I have let them develop.
Okay.
Nope, they don't seem to want their photo taken today, but I will keep trying throughout the next few days.
Tonight was the second investigation. It was our lone vigil experiment where I chose to go up to a hole in the wall where we were told about stories of people being dragged through during airsoft matches, but when they were looking, there was nothing there. My idea for my lone vigil was to take a REM pod and a chair and put it in front of the hole. Unfortunately, during my lone vigil, I had no reaction to the REM pod. There was no sounds, nothing. It was very flat for myself.
We've just finished night 2 investigations. We did the lone vigil experiment, and I faced my fears at the area in the tunnels where I had the most prolific experience here at Drakelow. To say I was a bit apprehensive was an understatement. Looking back now after we've just done it, I've still got those feelings. The activity we had on the REM pod was something that I've never seen with that bit of device. I've never seen it go that quick. Kind of spooky, kind of a little bit crazy. Put me on edge a little bit. Yeah, interesting experiment and something that I don't really want to do for a little while longer.
Evening 2 here at Drakelow Tunnels was a bit of a tough one because we had to do our lone vigils. To be honest, the area that I chose was for a really lovely reason. There are so many reports of people hearing music at that particular intersection, and so I decided to sit on the corner of the crossroads, grab my guitar, try and play a little song, and see if it not only lightened the mood over there, but if anyone would interact. Live music always brings people together, so it's something that I really wanted to try.
The second night of our investigation was interesting. I decided to do a lone vigil in the canteen where there has been reports of people getting touched, in particular women. I decided to take some photos in there with my instant camera, so the film comes out straight away, therefore it can't be edited. Upon reviewing them photos, there doesn't seem to be anything paranormal there. I also did some EVPs, of which were quite inaudible. I think I heard the response after I asked who was with me of the name Michael, but it was so quiet, I'm not entirely sure. So I can't say whether that was paranormal or not. Overall, I thought the lone vigil was okay. It was quite flat. I was expecting more, so I was slightly disappointed, but I'm really looking forward to the next few days and looking forward to the experiments that we're going to do.
The second investigation of Drakelow tunnels was slightly more active. Being on your own in these dark, foreboding tunnels is not something any of us want to do anytime soon. Tomorrow is a day of interviews as we speak to paranormal witnesses and listen to their stories.